Marvel's tentpole for more than 30 years hasn't been Avengers, X-Men, or even Spider-Man. As popular as they all are, consistently the writers and artists on Daredevil are the biggest things in not just Marvel, but generally the industry. And that's definitely true of Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto's finale to their epic run on Daredevil. Let's talk about how this changes The Man Without Fear and sets a template for what a good event book ought to actually look like. I'm Dan Umpton, and this is the Doomcast. First things first, throw me a subscribe and hit the bell. Hit the bell. I make one video a week and they're all great, so you don't want to miss even one. Now, like a lot of comic book fans, I don't really love event books generally, but this is one that manages to do things very right. A self-contained, powerful finale to the standard book, and granted, there's offshoot tie-in books as well. And the standard book itself is very good, but this event really wraps up and neatly packs away a ton of loose ends from years of impressively told Daredevil stories, clearing a path for completely new, completely innovative stories. So circling back to the entire premise, Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, is mayor of New York since way back during the point where New York was covered in the Dark Force Dome. And he decided to outlaw unlicensed vigilantes in the city of New York. And the fallout from that created a natural resistance to the new order of things, as it did in Civil War. So here's the fallout. Kilgrave. Non-comic fans remember him from the Jessica Jones series. In comics, he's the same, except his skin's all purple. The Purple Man. He can hypnotically control anybody. He was being used to control people of New York, or anyone else that Fisk wanted, simply by amplifying his innate ability using that concentrated power projected through Fisk's cane, through a thumb that he literally took from Kilgrave. That, coupled with his new Thunderbolts, including Taskmaster, U.S. Agent Rhino, and his new consort Typhoid Mary, among others, caused Daredevil and other street-level New York heroes, as well as Doctor Strange, She-Hulk, and Cap, to organize. Luke Cage decided to run for mayor with a groundswell of support. Some of the first to get locked up were Ben Reilly and Moon Knight, Ben giving a first-class lesson on how to be arrested, and that's don't talk to cops. He even tells them that his name is Johnny Spiderman. Now, after his rescue, the focus on the heroes fell to finding Kilgrave's kids to wrest Fisk's power away from him directly by counteracting Kilgrave's power, because his kids all have the same power that he does, just not quite as concentrated. But before they could pull that off, Fisk realized that he could use Kilgrave's own power to make him remember who Daredevil really is. And he did, which, there's a minor problem there. Matt Murdock has a twin brother living his life for him. Well, Matt Murdock literally created a twin brother in Daredevil 611 when basically a fragment of him became real because one of the Inhumans accidentally wished him into reality. It's a long story, but the guy reader, anything that he reads becomes reality, and he read something about Mike Murdock, and there he was. So Mike Murdock basically assumed the life of Matt Murdock and lived on his own, so Daredevil didn't need a secret identity anymore. He acted as partner to Foggy, but he also started a relationship with Wilson Fisk's own son, Butch. So what does Kingpin do to Mike when he thinks he's Matt? You are absolutely correct. He murders him, and that sets Daredevil off and out for Fisk's blood. So when both Daredevil, whom Fisk thought he had killed, and Elektra run Fisk's car off the road, you can understand why Kingpin is very astonished and ends up locked in mortal combat with Daredevil once again. Pretty much as close as I think we've ever seen Daredevil to actually killing Wilson Fisk, but he stops short, leaving him for arrest. Meanwhile, Joe, the last-powered son of Kilgrave, overpowers his own father and saps his power. Maybe not forever, but he definitely put him down hard, along with Luke Cage's encouragement. And as it happens, the cop arresting Fisk was his son Butch in disguise, who takes him to the Stromwinds, who in turn offer to make Wilson Fisk president in exchange for working for them. Now, as cool of a storyline as that possibly would have been, Kingpin kills them and leaves his entire empire to Butch, then sails off, quite literally, with Typhoid Mary. This is how you do an event, right? Is you change things. A lot of these Marvel events, DC events, nothing changes. It goes back to a status quo. Everything's hunky-dory, so to speak. This takes two major villains, two longtime foes, Kilgrave and Kingpin, completely off the board. Luke Cage is going to be mayor of New York City inevitably. Mike Murdock is dead, so and then there's a new Purple Man Jr. in town, Joe, which, as Zdarsky moves full-time to run Batman now with Jorge Jimenez, which is going to be an incredible run, it begs the question, what's next for the Man Without Fear? What rogues do you go to? I'm impressed, and when this ends up in trade, this is definitely something that you should pick up if you haven't been following the entire time. Now, of course, there is an Omega issue that comes out in May, so we'll see what that actually ends up addressing. But I'm definitely down to pick up Zdarsky's new Batman run when things change gears there. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.